Hello everyone, my name is Benjamin Scudero, and in this video I'm going to be taking a closer look at the ServiceNow Contact Tracing application. So the application itself is designed to help organizations reduce transmission of infectious diseases by identifying on-site employees who may have had contact with a potentially infected coworker, aggregating contact tracing information across workplace locations, and creation of outreach cases and tasks for follow-up interviews with potentially impacted employees. I'll start out by discussing the general setup of this application. Now, as far as dependencies are concerned, you will need ServiceNow's Employee Readiness Score and Emergency Exposure Management applications. In addition to that, there are some other optional plugins and a dependency plugin regarding restricted caller access. And as far as compatibility is concerned, you'll be able to use this with Madrid, New York, or Orlando, and likely any other future releases. Now, a key footnote to highlight here is privacy when it comes to contact tracing. The organization alone is going to be responsible for any legal obligations and compliance requirements regarding the collection, use, disclosure, and retention of personal data. And that is something we do want to keep in mind when implementing this application. Fortunately, there are several roles that are provided out of the box that do make it somewhat easier to manage access and visibility to this data. That includes an overall tracing admin role for the application, as well as 3 badge-related roles, a case manager, a contact tracing role, and a daily log user role. Now, as far as other configuration items when setting up this application, we do have 3 properties regarding the badge readers. And then in addition to that, we have some badge data import jobs to import our users when setting up our badge management, and also scheduled imports for access. And then lastly, we have a daily log alert to remind our users to log interactions they have on a daily basis. Now let's go ahead and talk about the day-to-day use of this application. And that is really going to start with this daily contact log. So any user is going to have the ability to submit a list of people that they've interacted with each day. And what they would do is go to this module, My Daily Contacts, and go ahead and just complete a list. So I'll go ahead and fill out a few names right now. So I've got a Peter Gibbons, a Michael Bolton, a Samir, looks like Bill Lumberg, a Milton Wadhams, and a Tom Simkowski. So there we go. Easy as that to submit a daily contact log. We'll have all of our users do that daily. That way we can keep a record if we do need to, in fact, trace contacts that they may have had. Now, if you are a tracking administrator, you will have the ability to view all those contact logs that are submitted, as well as those who have acknowledged or not acknowledged any daily log alerts you may have sent out. Now, as far as the daily log alerts are concerned, it's leveraging the emergency outreach application. It allows you to select a targeted audience if you want to send those alerts to, as well as the content configuration. In this case, we are utilizing the out-of-the-box employee daily log alert to remind our users to submit a log, and then we can actually see down here the acknowledgements as well, and any other survey instances that were sent out if we happen to do that. Now, with that said, with our employees submitting daily contacts, that's going to bring us into the last part of this application, which is case management. And this is really where the rubber meets the pavement. And essentially, what we can do is if an employee were to test positive for a condition such as COVID-19, we can create a new case for that employee. So we'll go ahead and do an example here. We'll just say that Peter Gibbons has not been showing up to work, and it's because he says that he has, in fact, been tested positive. And so we'll go ahead and put that in there, and we'll put the case manager as Bill Lumberg, and we'll go ahead and mark the start date as today. And then all we got to do is click submit, and the case has been created. Now, from this point forward, we'll need to actually go to the case manager to initiate the next steps. So I'll go ahead and impersonate his case manager, Bill Lumberg, and we'll go ahead and look at the cases assigned to him, and we'll open this one up for Peter Gibbons. So the case is assigned, we can see the information here. Once we are ready to get working on it, we'll go ahead and click Start Work, and then from there we can move forward. Now, the first thing we want to do in these cases is to determine potential exposed contacts, and the way we can do that is through a diagnostics request, which leverages the emergency exposure application. And so here we have a variety of options we can select from to pull in information about potential contacts and exposures. I'm going to go ahead and use his location, any badge reader data that we may have, and any employee daily logging that is incurred. I'll go ahead and put the start date as Monday of this week, and we'll go ahead and bring that up until the 18th. Once I've completed that, I'll click Save, and then from there, I can go ahead and run diagnostics. So the request has been initiated, and now we just need to wait for it to complete running. And so as this is running, it'll go and search the related records, any integrations we have to determine what potential exposure may have occurred. And then once it's finished, it'll populate these related lists down here. Now, it does take a moment sometimes to process, so we'll wait for that to complete. Now, once it is completed, we'll have a list of our users, and we'll actually be able to select all those users and assign them directly to the case and bring ourselves right back to the case so we can continue on with the next steps. So I'll go to refresh this. We can see that it's completed. If I scroll down, we can see, as mentioned, the impacted users. And it turns out all these were impacted through location because they are all at the California Campus 1. And we can come right down here and select all, and then click on our menu and add users to the case. Now we're brought back to the case, and we can now see, we scroll down, that we have all the exposed contacts that are listed. Now that we have all these, we want to go ahead and create tasks so that we can reach out to them, determine if they have any potential symptoms, so that we can really map out any potential exposure and transmission that may have occurred. And just like we did before, I can click the Select All and use this menu down here to create a task. And it'll generate tasks for every single one of those exposed contacts. Now I can click on Case Task, and I can see that I have them all here. And the last thing I need to do before I move on to the next steps is to assign this and assign a due date. And I could go one by one and do that. But fortunately, there is an easier way when you have multiple records. I can hold down the Shift key and then select it, and then use my arrows to select all the fields that I'd like, and just hit the Enter key, and I can update those all at once. I'm going to go ahead and assign it to the other manager here at our branch, Dom Portwood. So I'll go ahead and click the green checkbox on that. And then same thing here. I'll go ahead and update these as well. And we'll give them all a due date of next Friday. And these are ready to go. All we need to do now is update this. And I'll go ahead and move over to Dom Portwood so we can see the next steps in dealing with this case. So here I am at Dom Portwood. Here as my favorite, I have Case Task for Contact Tracing. So we can see all the case tasks that have been assigned. And I'll go ahead and select the one with the later due dates that we just created. And it looks like we've got quite a few here. I'll just go ahead and start with this first one. And it looks like Milton Wadhams may be an exposed contact. And so we need to reach out to Milton and see what's happening with this potential exposure. So just like we did before, we'll want to go ahead and start work in. Just before I do that, I'll go ahead and mark today as my reach out to date, and we'll click Start Work. And now it is a work in progress. And I'm going to go ahead and reach out to Milton to see if he has any potential symptoms. So I'll scroll down here and click Take Survey, and then we'll ask Milton, does he have any of these symptoms? And the only one that is mentioned is dizziness. We wanted to know when he started showing them these symptoms. And from what it sounds like, it was quite some time ago. So we'll go back here. Milton just happened to mention that it was July 1st of 2017 that he started feeling dizzy. We asked next, of course, is if he is in touch with a physician, right? Because if there are symptoms, we do want to make sure that that's something that is being looked into. In this case, it was a no. And the next question, of course, being, is there any assistance that is needed? And it looks like Milton says there are none. So there we go. We can go ahead and submit that survey, close it out. And I'll go ahead and right click here on Save. We'll select Save. And we'll see now that the survey results are updated. Now, unlike some other surveys on the platform, when it comes to these surveys, you can actually take them as many times as you'd like. And that's actually key because when we're following up on a case task, we know that there could be an incubation period that really could go anywhere from a few days to perhaps a few weeks. And so we don't want to just close this out with one potential survey. We may decide that we want to have this going for a week or two, and that way, say tomorrow, we take another survey and we ask Milton again, Milton, do you have any of these symptoms? And maybe he says none this time, and then we submit it. And now we're keeping a record in case anything changes. And then finally, once we are done with that, we can go ahead and determine an outcome. And we'll say that is cleared. It looks like his dizziness was actually related to something else, not COVID. So he is cleared. We'll go ahead and close the task. That is now completed. So once we do complete all these tasks, we'll then be able to actually determine the outcome of the case, determine if anyone else could have potentially been infected by reaching out, having them follow up with the physician as needed. And then from lastly, at that point, we'll be able to close the case. And that is going to do it for the contact tracing application. I hope this was informative. And if you do have more questions about the application, be sure to check out the ServiceNow doc site and community. And of course, you can always reach out to us here at Covestic, and we can help you along the path. Thanks again, and have a great day, everyone.